This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 259-inch.
On this episode, we continue our definitive ranking of the top 5 notable Weird Al song cameos with Matt Kelly and Matthew Milligan of the Weird Al-Gorithm podcast.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 259-inch.
You know the drill. Dave and I are still recovering from tour chasing Weird Al on his bigger and weirder tour, so we're going to keep this brief.
Make sure you keep an eye on group.2000inch.com and all of our social media channels for the latest in Weird Al related news. You can find us at 2000inch everywhere you consume your social media.
So, what do you think of those bonus centimeter episodes, huh? Bigger and weirder and longer than you expected? Or shall we prepare ourselves for an angry mob at the next Weird Al concert we attend?
Well, I'm certainly enjoying them. Regardless, thank you for listening in as we tell you all about the fun we've been having tour chasing and recount every single millisecond of every single concert that we've been to in excruciating detail.
Our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family have already heard a bunch of those bonus episodes over exclusively on patreon.com/2000inch.
Each and every concert review bonus episode will be posted there first. So if you want to hear our adventures from the road as soon as possible, and you know you do, head on over to patreon.com/2000inch and sign up.
And not only do you get our concert reviews early, you also support the podcast that you're listening to right now.
Whoa, totally meta.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Well, thank you to everyone who's listened and commented on the episode so far. There will be more to come shortly. Oh yeah, there's more coming.
Sorry, not sorry.
And cheapskates, don't worry, you'll hear them eventually.
Well, before we dive into more definitive top 5 mayhem, how about a quick word from our delicious sponsor?
This delicious episode is brought to you in part by vegan burrito restaurant Burrito, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla burrito, and Wizard Burger in Albany, New York. Come on down to Burrito and Burrito, your Burrito, and Wizard Burger for mouth-watering, loaded, dare I say, beefy vegan burgers. From Albany to Uranus, Burrito and Wizard Burger feed the hungry with out-of-this-world, plant-based, real food, always vegan style, and always delicious. Visit burritosquared.com and wizardburger.com to order ahead.
And now let's continue right where we left off last episode with Matt Kelly and Matthew Milligan of the Weird Al-Gorithm podcast for the definitive top 5 ranking of notable Weird Al song cameos.
I'm looking at my 3, 2, and 1, and I'm like, there's a good chance I'm the only person who put these 3 up here. And I guess we're going round robin, so do I do my 3 here?
Sure. Go for number 3.
Number 3, his first music video, Ricky. Tress McNeil.
I cannot believe you didn't have this at number 1, Matt Kelly.
Listen, you know that I am a Ricky fan to my core.
He's a Ricky head. He's a Ricky head. We're always talking about Ricky.
We prefer to be called Rickheads.
Sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to. My bad.
But yeah, I mean, this is beyond me loving the song, which I love this song. I love this music video. I love all of that. But again, with like what I was looking for, while this isn't as noteworthy as having Don Pardo or Ben Folds playing on these songs that are kind of tangentially related to them, how can you do a song about I Love Lucy without someone being the Lucy in that song? There's no way that this song works or exists if it's just Al and the band. Like, this is one of the most necessary guest appearances in Al's catalog, or the whole song does not work. And she does a really good Lucy impersonation throughout the entire song. It's kind of part of why I love that first album so much, is that this is not the Al Yankovic trying to make the closest to a perfect recreation of a song possible, but is like a much more like raw, gritty, fun version of the song. This is, as we've said on the show, like punk rock Al, and Tress brings a little bit of that punk rock feel even in her Lucy doing this song. So I think that this is, of all of the things that we've listed, I think that if you had taken that person out of that song, there's still a world where the song could have probably worked out in some workaround way. But Ricky without a Lucy, it does not work. It is the most necessary ingredient to this song.
I don't want to, anytime I'm advising about, putting something lower, it's not because I don't like the song. And I will say that Ricky did not make my list or my honorable mentions, and it is a great song. I see Dave shaking his head, and I think, when we're looking at it from a Cameo standpoint, Tress, incredible. I don't know that anyone could have done as good or a better job as she did. The way that she looks almost exactly like Lucille Ball in the video is like insane. It's insane. It's like a deep fake almost when you watch the video. But when you think of the context of when she was on in the record and in the video, she was not, Tress MacNeille from The Simpsons. She was not a big celebrity, and I don't know that necessarily the song would have been a terrible song if there was a different Lucy brought in to do it. So I think because she doesn't have any context to the actual song or the source that's being parodied, that was sort of the criteria I used when I was weighting parts of my list. So while it's an incredible cameo, especially in retrospect, I didn't give it a spot on my list.
Listen, I'm fully aware that this will be the thing that probably does not make the definitive five.
Well, I don't know.
But who knows? I know. I'm trying to see where I think listen, I'm a gambler at heart. I'm trying to see where I think things are going to go.
Okay, we can save some argument, but I will just say right now that Ricky is on my list higher.
Wow.
Oh,
so this is your
okay.
number one, isn't it?
We're gonna get there when we get there, but I'm saying I also have this song on a list, so I'll leave it there for now.
I understand where Ethan's coming from with his argument, and we had this conversation with intern Frank quite a bit, so that's why I was shaking my head. It was an inside joke. But no, I did not have... I had Ricky as an honorable mention. I agree. Tress MacNeille was the perfect person for this, so whether Al lucked out finding her or he did his research finding her, she was the perfect person for this song. And I would argue, Ethan, that just because she may not have been as famous as she is now does not take away from the fact that she's still famous. This is still a notable cameo to the point that absolutely 100% agree. If you're going to do a duet about I Love Lucy, you need a Lucy character on there. And it needs to sound just like Lucy.
Also, I mean, look, I might be blanking here in my memory bank, but has there ever been any other artist on an Al song that has as much singing as Al on that song this is, you said duet, and it is legitimately a duet. This is half Al, half Tress singing the song. It's unprecedented waters in the rest of his catalog.
Oh yeah, no, this is the only duet on any of Weird Al's studio albums for sure.
Yeah.
And definitely, and especially to do this so early in his career on the first album.
His first single. His first
like
music video
true
single. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The music video, the single came out May 3rd, 1983. We did have the director on Dave and Ethan's 2000s Weird Al podcast, Janet Greek, to talk a lot about this, and very good episode to go listen to. But yeah, it was, we talked to Janet a little bit. He did take a little chance. MTV was kind of new here, and he put out this music video in black and white, number one. It was a comedy music video. It may have been the first comedy music video that MTV has ever played.
Yeah, probably, right? A strong possibility, at least.
Not only is it black and white, but it's Weird Al's introduction to MTV, and he doesn't look like Weird Al, and he's sharing it with another singer. Like it's a very risky move, and luckily it
considering
paid off,
how many firsts it is for him, it's a lot of wild chances taken too.
Yeah.
So far off what would become his path. Yeah.
Luckily, it worked out for him.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
I think we touched everything. It's a parody of Mickey by Tony Basil. Tress MacNeille, amazing voiceover actress. Done everything from, Tiny Toon Adventures, Animaniacs, Simpsons, over 200 credits to her name. She also appears on a couple other of Weird Al's songs. I know she's on Pretty Fly for a Rabbi, as well as Jerry Springer. So she did come back after she became the famous Tress MacNeille.
Yeah. And recently on Polkamania.
That's right, Polkamania as well.
I'll say even the most recent song, they have remained friends for quite a long time now. It's really wonderful.
Lucille Ball did hear the song and wrote him a signed letter expressing her love and appreciation for the parody.
Aw.
That's nice. I honestly wasn't even sure if she would have been alive at this point. I guess she still was kicking at this time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when she died. I feel like it was a long time ago. She died in 1989. There you go. So, yeah.
Well,
she got to hear it. Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, would you like to share your number 3 pick with us?
I'm going to share my number 3, and like my last pick, it's going to be a little bit anticlimactic because we've already talked about it. It is Genius in France.
Wow.
Genius in France I have as my number 3, and that's just, you guys got to deal with it.
I know I jokingly said that Ricky was your number 1, but I really did think that was going to be your number 1. I'm shocked that that's at 3 for
Number
you.
3. Number 3.
All right, Dave, do you want to give us your number 3?
My number 3 is a song we have not talked about yet, and this one is a Weird Al original that was parodied by Michael Jackson. Oh, wait, I must be having my timeline confused. This is, of course, a parody of Michael Jackson's hit song, Beat It. I want to talk about Eat It, and the notable cameo here is Rick Derringer. And just to give a little background here, Rick Derringer was Weird Al's producer for the first 6 albums. So he was certainly involved in the creation of Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, the album. He played all the guitar parts on the first album. So in that part, I would say any of those songs, he was part of the band. But at this point, when you got to Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, Rick Derringer was more of a producer role. Jim West was doing all the guitars. Jim West was Al's guitarist at this time. And Jim could have done an amazing guitar solo on Eat It. And this is not to take away anything from Eat It. But if you have a rock god like Rick Derringer sitting there in the studio with you, and you're doing a parody of Beat It, which has this iconic guitar solo in it, Eddie Van Halen, you might as well use Rick Derringer for the guitar solo. So the cameo here is Rick Derringer guitar solo. I could talk about Eat It for hours. This is the song that won Weird Al his first Grammy, Best Comedy Recording. It hit number 12 on the U.S. charts, number 1 in Australia. Al's certified RIAA gold single. The music video, an incredible shot-by-shot parody of Michael Jackson's Beat It video. And the single was released February 28th, 1984. So my number 3 song, Eat It.
I mean, great pick. Great pick.
Obviously, Eat It's a great song. Obviously, it means a lot in the history of Weird Al. But when I looked at this song from a cameo standpoint only, which is the criteria that I was, of course, restricted to by us, I thought, Eat It's an incredible song. But when people talk about Eat It, how often are they talking about that it's Rick Derringer doing the guitar solo? And I hate that I'm saying this like the week after Rick Derringer unfortunately passed away, because I don't want to take away anything about him or his memory, as we're recording this. But I just, from a cameo standpoint, because he was, already the producer, as you mentioned, he played on the first album. I thought, when comparing it to other cameos where the person themselves doing the cameo has a relation to the subject matter or the song being parodied, while I think he absolutely deserves to be on the greater list, he did. Unfortunately, this track did not make my top 5 or honorable mentions.
Same. And for a lot of the same reasons that you just said. There's an element, like I said, of could someone else have done this even just within his band? And to be fair, I truly don't understand why this isn't Jim West just doing the solo to begin with.
This goes back to Michael Jackson bringing in a special guitarist, Eddie Van Halen.
Yes.
I was going to say, if it was Eddie Van Halen coming back, then I'd be like, well, this is a big deal.
I would agree with you there. This would be much, much higher on my list if Eddie Van Halen came in to do the guitar solo on I Need It. I don't know if Al had the ability to get Eddie Van Halen at that time, but he did have the ability to get Rick Derringer.
Yes.
Had the guitar solo in Beat It not been such an iconic part of the song and called out, I think that had Al used Jim West for that, Jim would have done a perfectly fine job. But I think that Al needed to bring in a guest specifically for that solo. It didn't need to be Rick Derringer maybe, but having Rick Derringer there, it needed to be a guest. It shouldn't have been the everyday guitarist.
I agree with that.
I mean, I like that theory, Dave. I like that. I agree with that. And I did note this on my honorable mentions. It did not make my top 5, but I did note it. And I'm sure that a part of that is also for me, certainly, again, that he very recently passed away. And we've all been reflecting on his legacy with Al. And I mean, his career was extremely impressive for all kinds of reasons, not just Al's records. But so it's definitely on my mind. I mean, I ultimately didn't rank it for pretty much the same reasons they said, where it feels less like a notable cameo and more like a product of the circumstance, perhaps, of just like what was going on in the studio at the time, that was what led to that happening. But I never thought of it, the idea of like how Michael had to bring in a ringer guitarist. Al also did the same. I like that as a parallel between the two songs. I had never considered that. I do think that's cool.
I think on our Eat It episode, we just suspected that they left the studio and Rick just took it upon himself to record the solo. Like, it's done, guys. Don't worry about it.
It's also, that solo is a notably also very difficult guitar solo. Eddie Van Halen, I mean, more people nowadays, I think, have learned how to do his style. But at that moment in time, Eddie Van Halen was considered like a wizard. Like no one understood how he was doing the stuff he was doing. He was just a super genius on guitar. So Jim, we all know Jim is an absolutely amazing guitar player, but this was quite a long time ago. So it might have not been that Jim couldn't do it, but maybe Rick was just more prepared in that moment and ready to just, like let it fly and get done. When you're that early in your career and it's like all budget and stuff, I'm sure they were trying to just get it done as quickly and affordably as they could. It might have been that simple as well,
We're up to you, Ethan. Let's hear your number 3.
So I'll do my number 3, and then I'll follow it with my number 2. I think that's sort of the rhythm we're going in, and I will say that my number 3 is one that we've already talked about a couple times, and that is Why Does This Always Happen to Me? Of course, It has to be on the list with the amazing connection and him bleeding all over Ruben's keyboard, all of that, of course, puts it on my list. But my number 2 is one that we have not talked about yet. It's one of my all-time favorite Weird Al songs, and I don't know that necessarily is the reason why I ranked it so high on my list, but I put as my number 2 for the top 5 cameos, Lisa Popeil singing background on Mr. Popeil.
There she is.
I said it was one of my favorite songs, and it really is, and this is going back to, I think, a way that I had described my criteria is that you hear the song Mr. Popeil, it's incredible. But then you hear, oh, by the way, Mr. Popeil's daughter or, Ron Popeil's sister is actually on the song. That's incredible. That makes the song like, if you already like had it at a 9, you're making it a 10 because you're like, that's just so freaking cool. So taking that and then adding onto it that this was the beginning of the friendship between Al and Lisa, who then they collaborated on tons of songs and background stuff throughout Al's career, stayed friends to the point that when Al went out with the Strings Attached tour, Lisa joined the band as a background singer and actually went on the road with them for all those shows. It was just, it's too incredible of, I think it was such a good cameo that it led to so much more. And I think the weight of that is why I felt it needed to be in the number 2 spot.
Ethan, I couldn't agree more because I also have it in my number 2.
Oh, wow.
Wow. For a lot of the reasons you named. Also, again, like you're going for a B-52's sound. You can't do a B-52 song and not have those female vocals back there. So it's like you are checking off a necessary box. If you're going to do the B-52s right, you need that female vocalist. So then to have this extra layer of, oh, and also this person's related to the person we're singing the song about.
Right.
That is really cool that it kind of serves two purposes. It's almost like an Easter egg inside the song because there's no attention being drawn
right.
to the fact that that's who's singing it. It's just that we needed someone that could sing like the two female vocalists in the B-52s. And then it's just like you look in the liner notes and it's like a holy crap bonus moment to you.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait, was that a coincidence? Did Al know? It's like, no, Al knew. Like, he did that. So when we looked at the liner notes, we would be like, holy crap.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
Could you imagine
cameo.
if he hired Elisa Popeil not knowing that it was...
That would be even, that's even harder to believe.
So put your words back on you, Ethan, though, but because your argument for Tress MacNeille was that she wasn't famous at the time and became famous after. I would argue that this was very, very early in Lisa Popeil's career. She hadn't really done probably anything noteworthy enough that she would be considered a celebrity female singer at the time.
Yeah, but he also said that she wasn't tied to the subject material as tightly in Ricky, which I do agree with.
I don't want to say that the level of celebrity is, how I chose my rankings or how I chose to, delineate some of these. But yeah, because it is literally about an amalgamation of her dad and her brother, it is just like that family aspect of it. It made it too perfect of a cameo for me.
This one did not make my list.
Really?
I will give it to you that when I first opened up the liner notes for Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, and of course, I know each and every one of us did this. We memorized the liner notes for the albums as we were listening to them. And as you're going through each and every song, just to see Mr. Popeil and to see one of the singers listed as somebody named Lisa Popeil, I had to think that there must have been a connection there. I had no idea that it turned out to be that Lisa Popeil was Sam Popeil's daughter, who is the subject of the song, until much later. But it was pretty cool to see the fact that he had somebody with the last name Popeil singing on a song about Mr. Popeil. So I will give you that for certainly. I'll give you that certainly.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's on my list as well, so we'll get there. I'm definitely.
I can't imagine where.
Okay.
Leaning more towards Ethan on this. Yeah,
we're running out of room on
Is
this
it at
list.
5?
People who have been listening closely might be able to guess the top of my list.
Well, let me give you my number 2 because it is one that we've already mentioned before. My number 2 is Genius in France.
There you go. Great choice. And we'll just keep it moving right along because my number 2 is...
Ricky. It's Ricky.
Quiet down.
I was paying attention. I figured it out.
Good job, Matt Kelly. It's Ricky. It's Ricky. Good job, Matt Kelly. It's Ricky.
Ricky. Nice.
Well done.
Matt Kelly, you already told us that Mr. Popeil was your number 2 on the list.
Yeah,
so
I matched you.
Do you want the honors of giving us your number 1?
Number
song?
1.
I have a strong feeling I'm the only one who put this anywhere on their list. But I had to be true to myself. I had to be true to what I said. It had to be something that, in my mind, couldn't be replicated by anybody else. And what I mean by that is I'm sure that Ruben on his keyboard had some really convincing horn sound effects. But to bring in the guys from Real Big Fish to do his tribute to third wave ska, your horoscope for today, as a kid whose ska is still his number 1 musical love, that had to be my number 1. This is a perfect ska song. When we had our guest on the podcast to talk about this one, the host of the Real Big Fish podcast, Every Song Sucks, he literally described your horoscope today as the most perfect ska song ever written.
Whoa, that's amazing.
So,
Nice.
so that was really, really cool. He also, I think we were allowed to talk about this because he talked about it on the show. During COVID, his band, he's in a ska band, was recording covers throughout COVID, and this was one that they almost did where they were going to cover your horoscope for today, and the plan was to have a different vocalist from different ska bands sing each Zodiac.
Oh, cool.
Signed on the cover, which would have been so cool. I'm so bummed that did not work out because there's no world where the Weird Al and the ska scene wouldn't have just like made that a viral moment.
What can we do to make that
sure.
happen? Can you get in touch? I'll give him $5.
I'll
right?
just ask Greg. I'll ask Gary nicely when I record his podcast next week.
It's not too late, Gary. It's not too late, Gary.
But yeah, I don't know if the rest of you have horoscope for today on your list. I think I'm a lone wolf in that sense. But
Honorable mention.
A big one for me, I think. A big one.
It did not make my top
It's an
5.
honorable mention for me.
It's an honorable mention for me as well.
Yeah, it didn't make my list, but I agree. I mean, it was hard not to put this one on the list. Tavis Wertz and Dan Regan, of course, the two people from Real Big Fish. Tavis playing trumpet and Dan playing trombone. This song, really great song. One of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's an all-timer for sure.
Yeah.
Took his inspiration sort of for this song, I think, from The Onion, that sort of satirical newspaper that was out there with the crazy, wacky news stories that are put out that somehow have become current news stories. There's also a video for an animated video.
Yes.
That was released in January 2023 to coincide with the release of the illustrated Al graphic novel, and it was by artist Aaron Augenblick.
Yeah.
And Josh Pilch.
This is one of those ones where the video came out. The song was released on Running with Scissors on June 29th, 1999, and the video did not come out until January 2023. That shows how much this staying power this song has.
And the song blew, like when that video came out, as a person who was occasionally on the ska subreddit, like this video, people were stoked that we were getting some type of video for this song all these years later.
Well, we know this has been like a fan favorite really since the album came out. I mean, this is like just everyone. I think like real Al fans just immediately were like, this is gold. So if any, I'm plenty of songs that people would be happy to see music videos for late, but this certainly was a welcome addition, because it, by all measures, I feel like it could have and maybe should have been a single at the time. It would have been really fun. I think it could have even done well for him. It's right at that ska moment.
Yeah, you cannot go wrong making more music videos for stuff on Running with Scissors. It's just
so true. So true.
And to me, as tied in first for my favorite album, it's so cool to have that. So it was hard. It was hard not putting it on my list higher than an honorable mention. But Matt, I know where you're coming from. It's great. It's a great cameo. I mean, I guess I have a question about ska in general that maybe you can answer. How important to the ska genre is Real Big Fish as a band?
I would argue for the third wave, which this is third wave ska. Very quick ska history. There are 3 distinct waves of ska music. The first wave is when it originated in Jamaica as an extension of reggae music. The second wave is when you get into England and you have bands like the Specials and Madness that are doing this kind of like two-tone style that's like a little bit new wavy in a sense. And then you get this third wave where it is the combination of like reggae and punk music, where it's punk with horns and all of that. That's where you hit that third wave ska. Real Big Fish is, without a doubt, despite how many songs they've written about how they are one-trick ponies and one-hit wonders, they are in my opinion, when someone is thinking of ska music from the 90s, they are the band that they are thinking of. And they have the sound, like this is arguably a Real Big Fish style parody more than it is a ska style parody, because I would say the other big ska bands would be like Less Than Jake, which this does not sound like a Less Than Jake song, and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, which this does not sound like a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones song. It is very definitively like the goofy, super upbeat Hawaiian shirt wearing version of ska, which was Real Big Fish. Milligan, I know you were also a big ska kid at that exact same time. Am I off base at all on any of that?
No, I think you're pretty right on. I mean, in terms of like the overall, like the biggest impact, I think the 2 big players for that time would be Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake.
Yeah.
2 bands that were very, very like touring at a very large level compared to a lot of other ska bands. There are a lot of other names you could name of bands who were out very active at that time, but those were the two big ones. And Less Than Jake historically are a little bit more rough around the edges than
They're
Real
punky.
Big Fish.
They're
so
way punkier.
They're a little bit more like nasty, growly. So this definitely, Al's parody definitely speaks more to the Real Big Fish side of things than Less Than Jake. But clearly he was inspired by this whole movement that existed at the time, and really is. I mean, both of those bands are still out there. So
Well, and historically, I can't believe we never mentioned this when we did the episode on Weird Algorithm, but we've already had hints in Al TV episodes that Al has been a ska fan since the 80s because he frequently was playing videos from Madness and the Specials. So I feel like there's probably an element, too, of when
That's true.
When the third wave of ska hit, I think that Al was stoked. And was like, all right, we are doing something with this before this fad ends.
yeah, no, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that. We did notice on Al TVs he used to play Madness and that kind of stuff. So he definitely was into this sort of scene.
I want to move Horoscope up on my list after hearing your explanation.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. I think you guys are convincing me. I'm kind of upset.
We're already in the convincing stage. We haven't even gotten to the end yet. We're already trying to sell this on each other.
Milligan hasn't even put Popeil at number 1 yet.
Oh, God. It's Popeil. Move on. Dave, you're up. Matt stole my thunder.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Pay attention, listeners.
This is my favorite Weird Al song title of all time, but that's not why it's number 1 on my list. Number 1 on my list is the incredible parody song Money for Nothing / Beverly Hillbillies **.
Interesting.
The guest performers on this one are Mark Knopfler and Guy Fletcher, both of the band Dire Straits, which is the band that Al is parodying in this. It's a parody of their song Money for Nothing, overlaid with the lyrics from the Beverly Hillbillies theme song. Absolutely incredible pairing there. The music video for this, which debuted in Al's movie UHF, is a straight-on parody of the Dire Straits music video. Mark Knopfler plays guitar, and the story famously is that Mark would only agree for Weird Al to parody this song if he was allowed to play guitar on the song itself.
Yeah, is this the only time that the artist has strong-armed themselves into being part of this song?
I think so.
What an amazing thing! First of all, you think Al's a accomplished enough musician that you're willing to give him your song and be on his album, but also you get paid twice, right? Because you're getting paid for the original song and you're getting paid for the parody.
He's got to make up for all the royalties that Sting took from him when he did the original version of the song.
Yeah, because Mark Knopfler had been playing this song over and over again live, the version that he recorded for Al wasn't quite the same as the album version. It just evolved over time. So it's a lot looser than what's on the album version. Al likes to, when he does his parodies, do like a 1-for-1. He makes his parody sound almost exactly like the original song. In this case, it sounds like the original song, but it sounds like the original song with Mark Knopfler playing the song live rather than the studio version that he recorded.
I think we noted on our episode that we actually thought that was one of the bigger mistakes of the song, because the original song, our theory was anyway, in the original Money for Nothing, it has this kind of grimy, they're still learning the riff sound to it, where this has kind of a little bit more of the polish of someone who's been playing the riff for years. And I think that's kind of, I think the song sounds better when it sounds a little grimier in the mix than like the well-tuned version of the riff.
Yeah, I would say that in the context that you've shared, Dave, that is why it didn't make my list.
Wow.
So for the context, for folks who haven't heard, we've had a couple episodes where John Bermuda Schwartz has come on and he plays us some unreleased or rare audio. In one of those episodes, he came on and he played a clip of the original recording of Money for Nothing Beverly Hillbillies, where it is Chemo, Jim West, playing the guitar the way it was sounding like in the original. And I think that's a superior version. I like it better. So it's like, I can't celebrate a cameo that I think would have been better if it was just Al's regular guitar player, Jim West. So, and I think that, when he came in and they were expecting that he was just going to play the original the riff, but I don't think it was intentional, but that's just how the song had evolved for him. So because of that, that's why I left it off my list. But I mean, the notability of, and I think maybe you started to touch on this. I don't know who it was, but is there another Weird Al parody where literally in the actual parody the original artist is featured? And I don't think that's the case. This is the only one.
No,
so, I mean,
not like that.
That's incredible to me, and I think that I struggle with it because I left it off my list for the one reason, but for that reason, it's like, is it the most important cameo? So that's really a tough thing to wrestle with.
It's right. It's two members from Dire Straits,
right.
Mark and Guy Fletcher. Both of them. Mark is, of course, I think one of the songwriters, so that's probably why he had the power to say, "Hey, I'm not going to approve this thing unless you let me play on it." I don't know how Guy Fletcher, who does synthesizers on the song, how he got involved, but I'm sure it was through Mark and everything else.
Yeah.
I feel like because it is the original artist on the parody song, it certainly fit my criteria for how I ranked and should be number one. When I think of Money for Nothing / Beverly Hillbillies **, I think how Mark and Guy both contributed to the song. I love the song as one of my top Weird Al songs.
I agree with that. For me,
yeah.
Everything about it, and the fact that Al chose to even feature it in his first movie, is certainly got to be up there. That Al felt it was important enough.
That's true. It gets a big feature in UHF. Big feature.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's a big quote unquote parody on the UHF soundtrack.
Yeah.
Right,
exactly. It's the lead single, it's everything.
Well,
I think we're up to you, Ethan. Time for your number one.
My number one being the final one that we reveal, unfortunately, is a little anticlimactic. Maybe we should have switched, Dave. Mine was already mentioned. The last time it was mentioned was round 4. I thought that the number one cameo out of everything that we have on our list and in Al's catalog from what we've determined for the criteria here was Don Pardo in I Lost on Jeopardy. And this was when I started making my list, this was not number one, and it was I think honestly it was like an honorable mention. And then when I really took the time to think about it, I don't know that there is a better, more notable cameo than literally this. As far as I know, this is the only cameo where it's actually called out in the song, where he's like, Don Pardo, tell me now what I didn't win. So he's not only providing a cameo, but it's not one that you need to go into the liner notes or Google or go to Wikipedia to find out. It's like, it's literally like, it's there. And what more iconic voice of many generations. People have heard Don Pardo on SNL. They've heard him on all these game shows. And this song was about Jeopardy, and they got the actual freaking voice of Jeopardy. I thought because of all of that, it had to be number one. I couldn't think. Yeah. I couldn't. And I know that we're probably going to argue, but I couldn't argue with myself to figure out which was more notable than that, because just based on the criteria that I was basing it on. So because of that, I had to put it at number one. I'll also just mention that the raw footage of Don Pardo recording his bit that they played live in concert. They first showed the full uncut in concert for the unplugged version. Incredible. I mean, it's just. The fact that he did the song, he did the music video, and he just is such a character, and he gives so much with his voice. I can't imagine in any world that I Lost on Jeopardy would be as much of an incredible song if it wasn't actually Don Pardo. If it was an impersonator, if that was left out, it would not be the same song for me. And it's one of my favorite songs. So it's like all roads lead to it has to be number one, and let's see how it fares.
Well, and I guess I want to talk about something that I hinted at all the way back when I put this at number 5. This is the first truly big get for Al, right? The only songs older than this that we have on the list is Tress MacNeille, which, as we've established, was not a big name at the time, and Rick Derringer, who was his producer. Like, this is like the first truly big. Mm-hmm. You can imagine a young mid-20s Al being like, do you think we can get Don Pardo? And having to really ask this person and expecting a no. You know what I mean? Like, probably not expecting you to get that yes. Like, this is a huge huge win very early in his career as far as a cameo. I'm mad I put it at 5 retrospectively.
You have that time to argue very shortly, and we did all have it on our list somewhere.
We did.
So this one, I don't want to say it's going to definitely be in our somewhere in our definitive top 5, but it certainly seems that way. Before we move on and cap everything up, is there any songs on any of your honorable mentions lists that we have not talked about yet? There is one for me, but I'll give you guys a chance to look over your honorable mention list.
Actually, no.
I limited myself to 2 honorable mentions, and we've talked about both of them. And then my third place honorable mention has also the one that I almost included also was talked about. So
yeah.
I don't really have any other ones. I mean, I know that we have our list in front of us. I'm sure we'll mention the 4.
We'll mention everything. Yeah. So for me, I want to just the only other one that made my honorable mention list was off of my favorite album, Off the Deep End. It's Taco Grande with Cheech Marin doing the spoken word rap bit. I mean that. Cheech, of course, one half of the amazing group Cheech and Chong with Tommy Chong. And this is a parody of Rico Suave by Gerardo, all about Mexican food. And Cheech was famously asked to do the little rap in the middle of the song in Spanish, but it turns out that he only sort of knew basic Spanish, so he really couldn't do it without help. Yeah. So they ended up finding a secretary who was bilingual, and she was able to translate what Al wanted to say into Spanish for Cheech, and she wrote it out phonetically, and that is how he performed it.
Yeah.
So
I love that story so much. That's so great.
I think that for me, when I was even doing my list, I almost immediately eliminated Cheech, and we had Tom Kelly for TMZ were also
Tom Kenny.
One of our
Tom
options. Kenny. Tom Kenny, sorry, Tom Kenny. Sorry, not related to me. But to me it was like those are they're really cool, but unlike Don Pardo, who's so specifically tied to Jeopardy, it is just kind of a hey, this is a cool person we were able to get to do this thing, but like it's not really important to, if like Tom Kenny was the voice of TMZ, I'd be like, okay, that's pretty cool, but he's kind of just doing a generic, paparazzi voice. And same with, if Cheech had been on the original Rico Suave, I'd be like, man, what, that's awesome. But it's kind of, there was enough steps removed from the source material for me to feel like those were kind of 2 easy ones to to clean out the list for me.
I think the argument for Cheech, just to devil's advocate, what you said, Matt, is, and obviously didn't make my list, so I'm not being too strong of a devil's advocate, but he is famous for having a very thick Mexican accent for the character that he plays in Cheech and Chong. So if you're going to have a Mexican character who's going to say something in Spanish, I get there is a connection in
He's
that.
He's the best option for sure. Yeah. And that was similarly like with Amanda Palmer in First World Problems. If that was a Dresden Dolls parody, I would be way more inclined, but it's a Pixies parody that she's just kind of there. And she does a great job there, but it is again, it's like if that were Kim Deal, it would be a different conversation, I guess. Was kind of where I started to land on the ones that remained was it's cool, but like how similar to how you felt with Triss in Ricky, like a lot of the other ones, they're just removed enough from the source material to kind of they were the easier ones, I think, to kind of eliminate, to narrow down the list from like 12 to 10 to to really hone in on the 5.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean it's hard not to mention notable cameos without mentioning Amanda freaking Palmer as doing backup vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's unfortunately she just didn't have the connection to the song. It's I can say I was at a Weird Al show once and I saw Amanda Palmer there. So
Yeah.
they're
Really?
friends. Yeah. She was there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Backstage, and I didn't know who she was at the time, but later I was like, oh my god, I was backstage with her, and she's
It is
very
interesting
cool.
that she's the only musician that didn't make it on anybody's list or honorable mentioning list, and I think it's exactly what we're saying. She's too removed from the source material comparatively to almost
Yeah.
every other legitimate musician that was on this Cameos list.
Yeah.
Right.
So there were 3 songs on the list that none of us chose at all, and that is one of them is First World Problems with Amanda Palmer. The other one is Pretty Fly for a Rabbi with Mary Kay Bergman, and the final one being TMZ with Tom Kenny. And I think we touched on this a little bit. These people. For me, especially the Pretty Fly for a Rabbi and TMZ, I put these more in that's a fun piece of trivia, but it's not really, doesn't change the song at all if it's somebody different filling in those
Agreed.
roles. Mary Kay Bergman was famously a voiceover actress who got big on South Park, doing most of the female characters on that show. In Pretty Fly for a Rabbi, she was doing sort of the Jewish mom type of voice for that.
With that in mind, it's actually what I would use to argue where she is more related to the role, because she is the voice actress who was Kyle's mom, Sheila Broflovsky, in the original seasons of South Park. And when South Park came out, I think people who maybe weren't around back in the 90s when that came out, the late 90s, like, that was the biggest thing in the world.
Oh, that was big.
Huge.
Biggest thing.
And Kyle's mom isn't one of the main 4 characters, but she was a very prominent character. And I think a lot of people hearing that song were like, is that I think that's maybe what you would equate, like, oh well, this is someone who's doing an impression of the mom on South Park, then you're like, oh wait, it's the actual voice actress. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the problem was when we did the research on it, when we were doing our episode on Pretty Fly for a Rabbi, what we had read anyway was that it was supposed to be her doing Mrs. Broflovsky, and then there was like kind of this trepidation of like, will that get us in trouble? Like, will the creators of South Park actually come at us for character infringement? So she had to kind of adjust the voice to not be that character. If she was actually doing it in the exact voice of Kyle's mom, I think this would have, at a minimum, become an honorable mention, because in 1997 to 1999, there was no bigger show on the schoolyard that every single kid was talking about more than South Park.
Yeah, so definitely worth mentioning in the conversation. That's why it made the list of options. But I think we're kind of all in agreement that there are others that are more important.
Of course, the song being a parody of Pretty Fly for a White Guy by The Offspring. And I feel like Al probably felt like he needed to put an Offspring parody on, because he was doing a parody of their song Come Out and Play, Keep 'Em Separated, called Laundry Day, live in concert only special. I don't know. For me, actually, the Laundry Day song is a little bit more... a better parody, I think, than Pretty Fly for a Rabbi, but that's just my opinion.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I a little bit agree with you, and I was sad that he didn't. I guess he didn't feel like he had quite enough to do a full version of Laundry Day, right? Like I can only assume that's part of why it wound up in a medley and not properly released somewhere.
We also pointed out that
Yeah.
Pretty Fly for a Rabbi is one of those rare things where Al is doing a parody of a song that's already kind of a funny novelty song. So it's it's a little bit of a hat on a hat by the time Al gets to it.
True. Very true. I think we touched a little bit on First World Problems as well with Amanda Palmer, style parody of the Pixies about relatively trivial and minor problems happening to someone with otherwise high standard of living. He's very self-absorbed. This character, similar to the character in Why Does This Always Happen to Me? I love this song. I absolutely love this song. But the fact that you could easily replace Amanda Palmer with any other female singer and it wouldn't have changed the song at all is why it did not make my list. And Al has we've touched about, but he has a connection with Amanda of the Dresden Dolls. She's got a fictional group called Evelyn, where she plays conjoined twins, and Al was actually contributed to their 2010 album with the song MySpace. So he does have a connection with Amanda. I don't know how she ended up getting involved with First World Problems, but I'm sure through their friendship is how she got on the album.
Nice.
And then the final song I think we have to touch on, our list that none of us chose, was TMZ.
Yes.
And the special cameo in this one is Tom Kenny, who is most famous for being the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. He does the announcer in TMZ. For me, this song would have been on the list. This is a parody of You Belong to Me by Taylor Swift. And the video, I love the video, animated by the incredible Bill Plimpton. I love pretty much anything Bill Plimpton does. But it's a very fun song. I like the video a lot. But this is another case where I felt like Tom could have been replaced by literally anybody else, and it wouldn't have changed the song. He wasn't doing the SpongeBob SquarePants voice in this song. You know, you could have put the character actor for Squidward in there, the voiceover actor for Squidward in there, and I wouldn't, it wouldn't have changed the song.
It's true, and I love Tom Kenny. I think Tom Kenny is like a genius voice actor, like just incredible, and just a great comedian. Actually, he used to be on Mr. Show back in the day. He's done a handful of like actual acting roles, or physical acting roles, I should say.
Well, and like an immediate standout from Mr. Show. You know what I mean? Like I feel like when people think of Mr. Show, he is the third person you think of after Bob and Dave. Like,
It's true. Yeah, no, he is brilliant, but yeah, in this particular context, he doesn't really get too much opportunity to really show that off. He's serving a purpose. It fits the song really well, but it doesn't feel like a special cameo. So I agree with you, Dave.
Yeah,
Same.
and I guess the only devil's advocate I'll share for this one is, I guess that's my role here, but as a diehard Mr. Show fan and such a big fan of Tom Kenny's voice work, he is sort of like, he always is playing the sort of anchorman or the news kind of host guy.
It's true.
So it's almost like if you were like, if you're Al and someone says, hey, name like the absolute best possible person who can fill this role that you want to put in the song, like I think Tom Kenny is number one on that list. But agree, it could have been someone else, but I'm so glad that it was Tom Kenny, because I don't know that anyone would have been as perfect as he was. But it didn't make my list, but I love the song. I love him.
Even though it didn't make my list, it's wonderful to see his name on a list of Weird Al cameos. Like just seeing his name included at all is like, I'm very glad that happened for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Now the fun part begins. So at this point in the list, we have our top fives. We need to come up with our definitive top five, which is a list that we all happen to agree upon. Our lists are pretty varied here. We'll go over them in a moment to refresh everyone's memory. The top five does not have to be songs on your list. It could be any song that we talked about of the 14 that we talked about. And we're going to rank them, and we're going to lock ourselves in the rooms and not leave until this is done. And once it's totally finished, we'll take the final list. We will tattoo it on our intern Frank's forehead, so it is permanent. And from there on, this will be the definitive top five cameos in Weird Al songs list.
No one can argue. No one can argue.
Oh, yeah. We are going to argue now, and then no one else ever can again, right?
Basically, we are the four most qualified people at this point to make this decision. Whatever we make, it's on intern Frank's forehead. No one can argue.
I'm comfortable with that.
Ethan, could we say that we're the four horsemen of the Alpocalypse?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Could we say the four horsemen of the Al podcast ellipse? Is that
Ethan? I think you've just named our podcast tour that we're going to do next summer.
Let's do it.
I love it.
Hell yeah. Oh, man.
All right, I will start off with my list, starting at number 5, working way down. Number 5 on my list.
Well, all right, we have to stop the definitive top 5 right there. But don't fret, there will be more with Matt Kelly and Matthew Milligan of the Weird Al-Gorithm podcast on episode 260-inch.
This delicious episode is brought to you in part by Discover Darwin, promoting tourism in Darwin, Minnesota. Not only is historic Darwin, Minnesota beautiful, it's also full of extraordinary happenings.
It has come to our attention that Country Road 14, which we mentioned last episode when there was a disturbing discovery of a hoe jacket, well, there was another extremely terrible discovery.
Naomi C. shared on Facebook that there was one shell of a mess on Country Road 14 between Darwin and Forest City in April of this fine year.
This is no joke. She discovered the road littered with tons of egg cartons.
Naomi C. speculated that a trucker lost part of its load.
Connie L. was quite concerned when she learned the news, responding, "Ah, crap. Probably with our luck, it's country lane cartons."
While Connie L. was likely being sarcastic with that comment by her use of the word luck during an inherently unlucky situation, it would actually be quite ironic for Country Road to be littered with cartons of eggs from Country Lane.
One may suspect a pinch of tomfoolery was afoot.
No updates have been shared since the story first broke those months ago, but we hope they crack the case.
I don't know about you, Dave, but this story has left me pretty scrambled.
So visit Darwin, Minnesota on your next Chalaza expedition. Discover Darwin more than just the twine ball. And after you visit Darwin, Minnesota, be sure to attempt to visit www.discoverdarwin.biz.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you absolutely free thanks to our incredible sponsors Burrito, Wizard Burger, Stony Burns, Discover Darwin, and our very own Kenneth Crazy Ken Gwinnett. Our podcast is also supported by everyone else in our Patreon family, with special thanks to our very own close personal friend level Patreon supporters, Matt T, Zach Casper, Bradley KM, Kev Messick, Ron, UH Jeff, Dana B. and Beaker, Blair, Ajax, Javier, Allison, Casey Killingsworth, Zeb, Scotto Brothers, Adriana Banana Yugovich, and also thanks to Jason Alchill, Jeff McClelland, Aaron 3D Henry, Andrew Bishop, Brad Hebert,
and our newest supporters, Isaiah Ferguson, Ricky Vigil, Stuart Z, Yanko Chick 38, Robert Sagers, and everyone else in our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family. If you enjoy our delicious Weird Al podcast as heard in Weird the Al Yankovic Stories commentary track, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/2000inch. There are awesome benefits like getting your name read on the podcast, your very own private RSS feed which gives you early access to each and every one of our bonus episodes, and the self-satisfaction of doing something important with your otherwise pitiful, meaningless existence. And right now is probably the best time ever to join our Patreon family, as we're adding new concert review bonus episodes to our Patreon feed almost as fast as we can record them. We will post a brand new bonus episode for each and every concert that either Ethan or I attend on Weird Al's tour this summer, so there will be a lot of them coming. Also, remember we post our concert review bonus episodes first to patreon.com/2000inch. So be sure to join us right now so you can hear each and every bonus episode before anyone else. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out our official merchandise shop over at shop.2000inch.com. All proceeds from purchases go directly towards supporting our fine podcast. If you wear your official Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast merchandise to a concert this year, make sure you take a picture and tag us on social media at 2000inch or let us know, and we'll be sure to give you a shout out in a future episode.
We love hearing from our listeners and other Weird Al fans, so be sure to join our Facebook community at group.2000inch.com and visit our Discord server for even more riveting Weird Al and Red Rum Tagootie related conversations. You can find both of them linked on our website, as well as information about past episodes and guests over at 2000inch.com or weirdalpodcast.com.
Keep up on new episodes, podcast news, and events by following at 2000inch on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts so you do not miss a single episode. Not only does subscribing help the podcast, it means that intern Frank has to do 27 more push-ups. So subscribe over and over and over and over again.
Plus, we also love it. We receive voicemail via our official, patent pending, 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline, 347 Spatula. That number is 347-772-8852. Give it a call, and you might even hear your message in a future episode. But whatever you do, do not text 347-772-8852. Because then it will buzz and turn Frank, and it will ruin his nap. We wouldn't want that to happen.
Thank you once again to Matt Kelly and Matthew Milligan from the Weird Al-Gorithm podcast for joining us this episode. We'd also like to thank everyone that we've seen on the road at Weird Al's 2025 Bigger and Weirder tour so far, and everyone who's been enjoying our bigger and weirder and longer bonus concert review episodes. We'd also like to thank special guests Jackie Rossi, Johnny O'Hearn, Jeff Morris over at dmdb.org, Angel Coleman, Josh Pilch, and our very own Jeff Nucera, our very own Kenneth Crazy Ken Gwinnett, our very own Claire Walsh, our very own Mike Minnick, and our very own Chloe.
Thank you to the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West for our incredible podcast theme song, and thank you to Weird Al Yankovic, as this podcast probably would not exist without him. Thank you also to John Bermuda Schwartz, Steve J, Ruben Valtierra, Jay Levy, and the irreplaceable Joe Jaffa. And a big thanks to all of you, our loyal listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters and sponsors, and everyone who makes our podcast possible.
Thank you for choosing Dave Nathan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast for all your podcasting needs. And until next time, remember to gill and chill, keep listening to Weird Al, and always remember this, stay cheesy.
And don't forget, on the next Inch episode, Matt Kelly and Matthew Milligan from the Weird Al-Gorithm podcast will return to continue working with us on determining the definitive top 5 notable Weird Al song cameos.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 259-inch.
Wait, can I change what I said earlier about that one cameo? The Four Horsemen of the Al podcast ellipse.
I think you've just named our podcast tour that we're going to do next summer.